In primetime news this evening, tragedy in Trelawny, 10-year-old child and alleged perpetrator killed in grisly attacks.
Stakeholders condemn deadly incident in Trelawny.
And government moving to improve infrastructure downtown to get ready for international events. Good evening and welcome to primetime news. A very special welcome to our viewers on TVJ International in the Cayman Islands and online at onespotmedia.com. I'm Anthony Lug.
And I'm Janella Precious with a preview of what's to come in business news. Here's Andrea Chisholm.
Janella, we've heard the saying, jobs, jobs, and more jobs. Well, the Financial Services Commission says changes to the insurance law could lead to more jobs. I'll tell you what that's all about later in the business day.
So,
can you beat that?
I don't think I can. Not enough time. And guess what? Jermaine Brown is here to give us a preview of what's coming up in sports.
Well, thank you, Anthony. Well, speaking of jobs, Jamaica's entire contingent looking to do a great job at the Commonwealth Games starting tomorrow in Glasgow, Scotland. We'll tell you more a bit later on.
I can't beat that one, but all I will say is that Romaine will be here later with the weather report and forecast. And there's also sports commentary in this newscast. But Anthony, before the break, the feedback question.
And this evening we are asking, how do you ensure the safety of your child or ward? You can share comments online at facebook.com/televisionjamaica and post on X at TVJ News Center.
I'm still thinking about how I can, theme with the jobs thing, but anyway.
Do your job.
Exactly. The primetime news returns after this break.
Welcome back to Primetime News.
And a special welcome once again to our viewers on TVJ International in the Cayman Islands and online at onespotmedia.com.
We begin this newscast by delving deeper into the tragic story of the 10-year-old girl who was raped and killed in Trelawny Tuesday evening, allegedly by her cousin.
Now this evening, her family members share the chilling details of what they believe was a targeted attack by a serial rapist.
Now, we were told the suspect, who was killed by a mob of residents hours after the incident, was also helping with the search for the child.
Kelisha Williams reports.
This is where 10-year-old Shania Coke took her last breath, a lonely road off the beaten track in the hills of Trelawny.
The interview I'm giving you, I'm trying to see if I can get it all out of me, but I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. But I'm saying what I can say, you know. Life is so unfair.
Traumatized, depressed, don't know what to do because it could have happened to my daughter, my niece, anyone. Could have happened.
We were told Shania was on her way back home after her grandmother sent her to the shop around 3:30 Tuesday afternoon. However, her grandmother says she got suspicious after 30 minutes passed and the child did not return home.
I just called my grandson and say, come, Alric, come go up on the road, go look if you see your cousin. He go and he come and say, Grandma, me reach out a try, out of the cash pot, out of try cross, out of the cash pot, and I no see Ross Ekeja. So he come back to me.
Anxious and frustrated, Miss Williams said she went to the shop to see if she made it there.
He said, look, Mama, he said, no, me serve him. Keja come and buy us a lady serve him. And he serve him and tell him, say, Keja, me case and go on one because the lady say she kind of with anybody girl pitney. When he see them alone, he always encourage them. Say, look here. So he said, the girl never delay. He just sell him and she turn out and Tracy said, the girl said to him, all right, Tracy. And he said, all right, go on, take time, go on.
But those fears would soon become reality, as hours later, Shania's body was found with the throat slashed. It's believed she was also raped. It's believed she was lured to the area where she was assaulted and then killed. We were told a suspect, Shania's cousin, was among the people helping her grandmother with the search.
Last night when I go around there and see him on the veranda, I was broken down so bad I couldn't take up a pebble. And I said to him on the veranda, I said, you see it? How me tell us if you leave my daughter alone, just don't go bother him. Don't come out here and rob and kill me pickini. And you rob and kill me pickini. And he said, yes, sir.
Moments later, another bloodbath. The suspect, Delroy Coke, was chopped to death by an angry mob. His father, who sources say came to his defense, also received chop wounds and is battling for life in hospital. Residents say the incident is a culmination of their frustration. They claim the suspect was a serial rapist who had attempted to rape other people in and around the community and was recently released from prison for rape.
I talked to the father. I said, why you bring back this guy into the neighborhood? He said, I've seen picnic and do what I want to do with him picnic. And see, I beg him, I said, my your cousin, get this guy out of the neighborhood. The guy came to my business place and buy file quite a few times, machete file. And I said to him, my little daughter around there, she live around there as a girl child. Don't molest him coming out and you go rape and kill him. He said, no, Mr. Coke, no one do it.
So what happened?
So you're saying that this could have been avoided?
Avoided long time.
Now the tragedy has left a stain on the community, but residents are holding on to the memories of Shania, who was described as a bright and promising child. Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
And this evening, there's a question that's not strange in Jamaica. That is, why is the sex offenders registry not public? Ramada Lyons reports.
Another case, another tragedy, another family left to plan a funeral. And again, in reaction, another debate about making the sex offenders registry public. It's been a debate Jamaica has heard for years. 2022, expose sex offenders, protect our children. 2023, advocate blasts secrecy of sex offenders registry. 2024, is Jamaica prepared for its sex offenders registry to be made public? 2025, MP pledges to lobby for greater access. Still, nothing. In June 2024, Eve for Life raised concerns about the existing registry.
It has a number of challenging things, though. It outlines, for example, when the registry was established, which would have been in Jamaica, we're looking at 2014. It tells us what governs it, the Sexual Offences Act, And it also tells us things that offenders on the registry are monitored for at least 10 years before they're eligible for termination or registration. And it tells us those things.
But it doesn't tell you that Neville Bell is a sex offender.
No, it doesn't.
And in May 2025, a 9-year-old was raped and killed in Job Lane, St. Catherine. This was Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness.
We have recently reformed the Bail Act, and we do have in place a sex offenders registry. But I think this incident requires that we take a second look on how we make this sex offenders registry available to the public so that the public can be armed with information to protect themselves. Yes, there are constitutional issues that we have to balance, but where we are in the society, I have said it before and I will say it again, that our laws need to favor the protection of life and the protection of the victim rather than trying to protect the criminals.
Over a year later, another heartbreaking story. And sadly, the only thing that changed was the age of the child, from 9 to 10. The Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, has condemned the gruesome murder.
There are simply no words that can lessen the pain of this tragedy. This 10-year-old child should have been given the opportunity to fulfill her dreams. Her parents should have been given the chance to see her graduate from primary school, from university, to see her walk down the aisle. Instead, she was made to become a statistic, another victim of unspeakable violence. We cannot continue to accept these horrific acts as a normal part of our society. Every time a child is abused or murdered, we fail in our collective duty to protect those who depend on us most.
Ramarda Lyons, TVJ News.
Still to come this evening, sections of Morant Bay Main Road collapses following a fire. And in business news, fuel prices going up on Thursday. We'll be right back.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. The government is moving ahead with another phase of the Kingston Harbour Walk project as it ramps up efforts to transform the capital's waterfront. The development comes amid broader ambitions to position Jamaica as a host for major international events, including co-hosting the 2031 Women's World Cup. Sandy Williams reports.
Kingston Harbour, one of the largest natural harbours in the world, is at the centre of a major push to reshape the capital's image. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, speaking at the contract signing for Segment 2 of the Harbour Walk project, says the initiative marks a critical step forward. The project is part of a wider plan to modernise Kingston's waterfront, creating a more attractive, functional space for residents and visitors alike. But the development is tied into a much bigger vision.
Jamaica is part of a bid to host the Women's World Cup in 2031. Again, I want us as Jamaicans to stop thinking small-minded and think big.
While Jamaica is currently part of a bid to co-host the global tournament, Dr. Holness says the country must begin preparing now, especially when it comes to infrastructure. Central to that preparation is the upgrade of the National Stadium complex.
We are hopeful that work will start next year, 2027, and that we could be finished by 2029, 2030. But at least be finished in time to be an effective host. If the bid is accepted, it is only a bid at this moment. But at least we must show the ambition to host.
And it's not just about sports. The Prime Minister says Jamaica must be ready to welcome thousands of visitors, not only for football, but for other major international events.
We need to have more things than just the stadium. Thousands of people will be coming. We need to be able to show them a good front yard.
With Kingston expected to serve as a main host city, developments like the Harbour Walk project are seen as key to enhancing the capital's appeal on the global stage. As Jamaica positions itself for major international opportunities, projects like the Kingston Harbour Walk are being viewed as critical investments in the country's global competitiveness. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
A gaping hole in the middle of a busy roadway was the scene of concern in Morant Bay, St. Thomas Tuesday afternoon. But unlike the usual breakaways caused by heavy rains, this one was triggered by a fire, forcing emergency action from the National Works Agency. Ramada Lyons reports.
A man stooping in a hole in the middle of the road. Not something you see every day, and for unknowing motorists, it could end in tragedy, both in its current state and before it gets to that point. This is along the main road in Morant Bay, St. Thomas, and it's not a typical road breakaway or collapse. It's the result of a fire. Communication manager for the National Works Agency, Stephen Shaw, says emergency works were carried out immediately.
A culvert that was burnt from beneath the road caused the embankment to collapse. Now, this is something that we have actually been speaking about as an agency. The wanton use of fire in areas that are not supposed to be set ablaze.
It said that the culvert was affected by the fire. Now the culvert is some 7 feet below the roadway.
Had it not been for the road caving in at one point, we would not have been aware of the situation. And so I really want to urge Jamaicans to exercise care, to exercise caution when they are using fires, especially now that we're into a dry spell.
Speaking of dry spell, traffic flow virtually dried up Wednesday afternoon. Vehicles stretched for meters, barely moving. a commuter's nightmare. And with petrol prices on the increase, it was more than a nightmare for taxi operators. That's why the St. Thomas Taxi Association was very pleased by the NWA's swift response.
What I am happy about is the quick response from the mayor and the China Harbour and the workers. They are here assessing the situation and to get the vehicular traffic moving.
It can be fatal if persons are traveling along a particular corridor, not knowing that there is nothing holding the embankment. The road in such a circumstance would be floating. That's how we describe it, which is dangerous.
The issue of fires potentially causing roadways to collapse could be averted with the removal of plastic pipes running beneath roadways. But Mr. Shaw added,
the concrete pipes, they take longer to be laid. And so the turnaround time between when you excavate and be able to be in a position to backfill so that traffic can once again use the road is much longer.
Ramarda Lyons, TVJ News.
Land ownership issues are seriously hampering the rebuilding of homes damaged by Hurricane Melissa. Despite those roadblocks, Parliament's Public Accounts Committee was told that other initiatives are underway to provide housing for hurricane victims. Details from Andrea Chisholm.
Roughly 9 months after Hurricane Melissa wreaked havoc on the western end of Jamaica, some people are still without homes, roofs, or somewhere to lay their head. The matter is even more urgent as
under the control of the NLA. So where persons are in need and they can't show that they have authority to construct on land, we've been using government lands to provide some solution.
And what about those who own lands in flood-prone areas?
We will not be putting any modular units in locations that we think are particularly vulnerable. The idea is not to rebuild in spaces that would have had significant impact.
Has there been consultation with the representatives to say, this particular area, we're not rebuilding there, we're moving the people to X place? Has that been done?
I'm aware of some consultations, Chair. What I say, I'm not the one conducting the consultations. That's under a different ministry. But I'm aware, of consultations already underway.
Those consultations are being led by the Ministries of Labour and Economic Growth along with the partner agencies. In the meantime, an Auditor General's report pointed out that up to February 2026, of the $1.44 billion received in cash donations to assist Jamaicans impacted by the hurricane, only $26 million was spent. Ambassador Meade provided further context.
The totality of the donations we got included cash and kind, and the priority was to use up the resources in kind first. So by reporting that at a certain point, only a small percentage of the donated funds were used, it doesn't capture the fuller picture, and it was a part of the plan that most of the funds that were donated would be used for the more medium-term sustainable recovery, including the housing solutions.
PAC Chairman Julian Robinson said the specific purpose of the fund should have been clearly communicated. Andrea Chisholm, TVJ News.
And meanwhile, Parliament's Public Accounts Committee is going ahead with plans to bring the University Hospital CEO to court for ignoring a summons and refusing to appear before the committee. UHWI CEO Fitzgerald Mitchell was a no-show before the committee despite several requests for him to attend and answer questions about the management of the entity. At today's sitting, Parliament's Senior Legislative Council outlined the lengthy process which begins with a special report being submitted to the House to formally document the issue as a contempt of Parliament. If found guilty, he would be required to pay a fine of $200.
Now, to enforce the statutory penalty, the Clerk to the Houses of Parliament, acting on the resolution, the past resolution and the Speaker's directive and ruling, must refer the matter to the Director of Public Prosecutions. Now, the DPP has the constitutional authority to initiate proceedings against the individual in the parish court, and that is reflected in Section 20 of the Senate and House of Representatives Powers and Privileges Act, which states in the marginal note, Director of Public Prosecution to sanction prosecution. It stipulates no prosecution for an offence under this act shall be instituted except with the written sanction of the Director of Public Prosecutions.
It's a very detailed process, members, but I believe it's important for us to follow through on it, given what we have all said, which was really the contempt shown to the committee and the Parliament by the CEO of the University Hospital of the West Indies. So when the report is prepared, it will come to members for their approval, and I'm seeking the members' support at that point so that we can complete the process as outlined by Ms. Stewart.
From land tenureship to irrigated water, farmers in Hartlands and Catherine are one step closer to sustainable farming following the launch of an $80 million irrigation project on Tuesday. Jamaica Maitland explains.
Dozens of farmers in Hartland, St. Catherine will finally have access to irrigated water.
It would be built out to cover 400 acres. So we do expect additional farmers to come onto the property once we put in this irrigation system.
For years, the farmers have been occupying the lands in Hartlands without tenureship. But in 2024, 35 farmers received 5-year leases from the Sugar Company Holdings SCJ for cash crops. The farmlands were cleared and plowed. However, there was no irrigated water to grow food. When our news team visited Hartlands in January 2025, much of the farmlands remained unoccupied. During the launch of the Hartlands Irrigated Project on July 21, 2026, the lands were re-cleared and some farming was taking place. Farmer Tanya Anderson explains.
I am elated. I can't wait. Because gas price going up, I have to do a lot of pumping. So you have to buy a lot of gas to pump, depending on the acreage of land that you're producing. You understand? Producing on.
The project is funded by the SCJ, but is being carried out by the National Irrigation Commission at a cost of $80 million. Work has started, but the water won't come until October or November when the project is complete. Agriculture Minister Floyd Green sought to calm the eager farmers.
We've already procured the pipes and the teams are already out, and we do expect that this will be completed, and I will return to turn on the water in another 3 months maximum.
For farmers who are currently occupying lands in other areas in Hartlands, they told our news center that they're only growing a few cash crops. They want to prepare themselves for the relocation when the irrigation system is ready.
When completed, the Hartland Irrigation Project will improve irrigation access for farmers within this area, supporting increased production, greater efficiency, and improved opportunities for agricultural development. It will provide a stronger foundation for farmers to plan their operations with greater confidence and respond more effectively to the demands of modern agriculture.
Jamaica Maitland, TVJ News.
Coming up in this newscast, a trial date set for ousted Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. We'll be right back.
Don't
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. It's summer and most children are home, which is why medical experts are reminding parents that everyday household products can pose a serious threat if not stored properly. In this evening's health report, Shamila Pullen looks at the dangers of caustic ingestion.
The health report is brought to you by
Tetley Super Teas, packed with vitamins and chamomile to calm you down.
Many homes contain cleaning products and other chemicals that can cause life-threatening injuries if swallowed. Young children are especially vulnerable.
So we're going to talk about caustic ingestion. So caustic ingestion is where a patient or person swallows a harsh chemical substance that has the potential to burn the mouth, the throat, and the esophagus, and even the stomach. These caustic agents include acids like battery acid and toilet bowl cleaners, and alkalis, which include lye, which is your hair straightener. It includes caustic soda, which is your drain cleaner, and it includes bleach.
Warning signs include excessive drooling, pain when swallowing, vomiting, burns around the mouth, refusal to eat or drink, or difficulty breathing.
We're talking about this because we're coming to the summer where kids will be at home, and we have found that this will that they need to protect kids.
Storing chemicals in their original containers is ideal.
This is dangerous, caustic ingestion, because it can cause swelling to the airway. It can cause damage to the esophagus, which can later on cause it to become narrow, making swallowing difficult.
If an accident happens, seek urgent medical care.
So one of the things that we tell people is that if perchance, by accident, a child swallows a caustic agent, what you do is, first of all, do not induce vomiting. If you induce vomiting, then what will happen is that the chemical substance will come back up and have a second chance to burn the throat. The other thing we say, do not try to neutralize the chemical.
With your health report, I'm Shamila Pullen wishing you good health. The health report is brought to you by
Tetley Super Teas, packed with vitamins and chamomile to calm you down.
Now, ahead of the responses to our feedback question, Dion Jackson Miller is here to give us a preview of what's coming up in all angles right after Primetime News. Dion, what are we talking about this evening?
Well, Log, if you've been on social media recently, you've seen the to and fro between the health minister and healthcare workers over comments he has made about accountability in the sector. We're going to be hearing from him, and we're going to be hearing from representatives of healthcare workers. So it's going to be a really interesting program, very lively as well. Make sure you tune in. Janella, what's coming up?
I have my popcorn ready, Dion. But anyway, this evening we are asking, how do you ensure the safety of your child or ward? Our first comment comes from Suki, who says, I bring them everywhere with me under my arm like handbag. Me not trust nobody. Another comment from Audley, who says, I combine active supervision with open communication and structured boundaries. I teach them street and stranger safety and monitor all their digital activities. Romando says, teach my child discipline, survival skills, and prayer. Prayer does the rest. Claudette says, I take my handbags with me wherever I go. Safety first. When first one start college, I couldn't let go. Again, we're asking, how do you ensure the safety of your child or ward? You can keep those comments coming, facebook.com/television Jamaica, and post on X at TVJ News Center. Now, the business day and news from overseas are after the break, so please stay with us.